a roller compactor that my dad got for free from someone probably 10 years ago, something like that. And it's been sitting here for, you know, basically ever since then. And honestly, every time I bring my gooseneck trailer around this corner, I almost clip it. And I'm like, I got to get that thing moved. I got to do something with it. Now I kind of actually need it. You know, I'm putting in a driveway for some friends of mine, Hope and Brian. And the gravel's a little bit soft. It's on a steep hill, and the trucks are having a little bit of a hard time climbing that hill backwards, the dump trucks, in order to dump the gravel out. So a compactor would be pretty sweet to pack that gravel down a little bit so that I can actually try to climb this hill. Issue with this compactor though is obviously it's been sitting for 10 years and it hasn't run in 10 years. And when I talked to my dad a little bit about it, he was like, he was pretty sure it had some issue with a fuel pump. So I need to kind of dive in and see what exactly is needed to make this thing happen. The Whacker RD880, showing quite a bit of rust. But hopefully we can still get this thing to run. This is interesting. Poison, caution, do not drop. I think it's missing the breather cover, the air intake cover here. Gas. Ooh, that does not smell like good gas. That is old gas. It looks like this is where the battery goes. So we need a battery for sure to try cranking this thing over. And I think initially, like probably one of the most important things to try right off the bat is, can it get fuel? Obviously, can it get spark? This fuel is probably bad. This is flaking rust off of the roller here. You see that turning? That's good. The engine turns over. It's hard to turn it over, but that's because there's compression in the cylinders. Ooh, look. Engine cover. Air intake cover. Briggs and Stratton. 20 horsepower. So just looking at things here, we still got our key. Still got a key. That's something. Don't know what that is yet. Looks like over here we've got a choke knob. And I'm guessing maybe that's a throttle or something like that. I think this here, this tank, is for water. You put water in there and then let water run down onto the roller drum so that we can you can kind of wet your gravel, sand, or asphalt, or whatever it is you're doing. You kind of got water. It helps kind of compact things sometimes. Oh yeah, here's our hydraulic oil tank, because this thing is all powered. The engine, basically, this engine drives 2 hydraulic pumps. We've got one pump that is probably for traveling, makes the roller turn, and then the other pump is for the vibrator. It actually has a giant vibrator inside of this drum so that it actually helps compact things a little bit by vibrating and rolling at the same time. So at this point, I think place to start is see if we can get the motor to turn over and get a battery, get something that can drain the bad fuel into, and see if we can get it to turn over and see if we can get fuel to the engine. I'm gonna go get some stuff. Everything's tight. Okay. Yeah, here's the fuel line. This is definitely the bottom of the fuel tank right here. Little valve and the fuel filter, which is probably needs to be replaced, and then the fuel line going up here, and here's the motor. Just kind of fuel line. So I'm just gonna take this fuel line loose here, hopefully. Oh, just broke the fuel pump off. Well, I was hoping that I could fix the fuel pump, but now I'm not so sure. Okay, we're draining fuel. Okay, now we'll just let all that bad gas pour out. Just got the fuel line unhooked, and now I'm just gonna let all that bad gasoline just drain out into this bucket. I'll probably burn it later or something like that, because it's not going to be good for anything else. And out here on the homestead, it's actually kind of hard to get rid of toxic stuff sometimes. So sometimes the easiest thing to do is to like burn it in an old burn barrel with some cardboard or something like that. So I'll probably do that later. But I think while we let that fuel drain, let's see if we can't diagnose some more problems with this machine. Check the oil. That's always a good thing to do. Oh yeah, plenty of oil. It actually looks pretty clean too, for how old this thing is. No water in the oil? If there were water in the oil, it would either be super high, the oil level would be super high because the oil floats on top of water, and also sometimes water and oil mixed together can be super milky. It can get blended together and kind of be milky, so that's a good sign that it doesn't look like there's any water in the oil. Ooh, the hydraulic oil tank. Oh yeah. Got lots of hydraulic oil. Branches up in my business. Okay, it's a little bit better. Okay. Yeah, that's definitely the throttle. You can see it moving here when I pull this thing. I think that's the throttle. Yep. Here's got a throttle. Choke lever. Holy smokes. The choke lever is... Oh my gosh, it's so seized. Yeah. Yeah, I can barely turn it. Barely can't pull it. So that's a problem. I'm gonna need to do something about that. Like, you never know. It hasn't been sitting this long. Maybe it only had one problem, but while it was sitting here, it gained a few more. As I broke that line off the fuel pump. I need to call John, see if he's got another fuel pump. Not actually huffing fuel, I'm blowing into the tank. You blow into the tank and you can create like a positive pressure inside of there that pushes fuel out through the line better. But I learned from my dad a few years ago. He was filming on Alaska Last Frontier, and there was a pipe that went down from the filler neck down inside into the fuel, and so he created positive pressure in the tank, and then it all belched it back up and sprayed a ton of gas right into his face. Right on camera, right on TV. And that, make sure this is kind of clean. Anyway, so I learned from watching him. Make sure that if you're doing something like that, make darn sure that it's not going to come belching back up into your face. So right now I'm just going to dip the tank and see how much fuel is actually in it, because it is going so slowly. Oh, not much. Looks like only about 2 inches. So hopefully just another couple minutes and we'll have all the fuel cleared out. I think while I'm waiting, I'm going to hook up the battery and see if this thing turns over at all. Moment of truth. Engine turns over. This is very, very good. Now we just need to make sure we're getting good fuel to the engine. So I'm gonna pull a spark plug and see if there's spark. What size that is? It's probably, it's a guessing game. Let's try 1/16. Bingo! got the right spark plug on the first try, or a socket. That's kind of like, I remember when I was a kid, my dad would always just get the right socket. He just knew he was starting to get that magic power. This fuel pump that I broke off, I called John, did a little bit of research, and he thinks he has basically, I think even though this is a Briggs & Stratton engine, my friend John owns a Honda dealership here in town. I talked to him, he thinks he's got something that's gonna work out and he's gonna drop it off. We're gonna see if there's any spark. Oh yeah, can you see that? Hot spark. That is good news. Okay, so we got spark. Good. That other spark plug is like a pain in the butt to take out, so I'm just going to assume that if this one had spark, then the other one does too. This will be able to get the engine to pop over. I think I hearing the sound of air. Oh yeah. Actually, the gas tank looks really clean inside of there, which is good. I don't see any water and no rust really, so I'm just gonna kind of assume that if I put 5 gallons of fuel in here of fresh gas, there's just a tiny bit left in there, that the old gas will probably mix in with the fresh gas and it'll burn in this little Briggs & Stratton motor shouldn't care that much. It's not like it's like a super efficient car here or something like that. Okay. The air filter, it actually looks pretty good. Yeah, I don't know. It looks good to me. I don't think that there's going to be anything majorly obstructing the air intake. Maybe I'll just leave it like a little bit loose for now and then I can pop it off. I don't want any debris from the tree to fall in there, so I'm just going to set it there. I can lift it up if I want it to try to get better air while I try to start it. All right. John just dropped off the new fuel pump, so I'm going to go grab that and see if it works. Okay, so John dropped me off this fuel pump, which is off of a Honda lawnmower or something. He also was kind and got me a filter and some more fuel hose. This fuel hose is it's pretty cool stuff. It's like a polyurethane hose, which is clear. It's actually really nice because you can see where the fuel's traveling versus this old hose. So I might end up replacing some more of this old hose. That way I can actually watch fuel go from the fuel tank to the engine, and that might make a big difference. So at this point I'm going to try swapping out this fuel pump, and we'll see if we can get it to pump fuel to the motor, and then if it starts, we'll see. Otherwise we're going to have to address the choke cable is stuck and it won't move. So 2 things kind of left to do to see if we can get this thing to work. Little fuel hose here. I think I'm gonna take the pump off. Oh, I'll bet that was the problem. I'll bet, honestly, this little hose right here was so loose on this breather cap. So these fuel pumps work by basically suction from the engine, kind of creates a back and forth suction effect every time the pistons go up and down. And so that back and forth suction effect
moves a diaphragm inside of here, and then there's some one-way valves, so the fuel, every time the diaphragm goes this way, it sucks fuel in, and then it pushes back this way, but because of the one-way valve, it can't go out the line it came in, and it's forced to come out this one. But as what I'm seeing is that this hose right here is all loose and wobbled, and all that was probably wrong with it is this little port got loose and it wasn't able to maintain suction anymore. So I'm pretty sure that's probably all that was wrong with this thing, and somebody just threw away this entire roller, probably only because this little tiny hose was loose, which is crazy, you know, that people don't really fix things and work on things very often. But I think that I'm getting closer to having a fixed little tractor here. Yeah, and so this one, this new fuel pump, oh, they're like pretty much just exactly the same, I think. Wait a minute, no, they're different. That one, yeah, they're close, but they're a little bit different. I'm blowing it, I'm trying to figure out which way this thing goes. So this one is where the fuel came out. And same thing, this is where the fuel comes out on this one. So it's actually very similar. Squirrel! He's angry at us. He says this is his favorite spot to sit while he eats pine spruce cones. This is where this hose hooked up on this bad little hose here. And I think part of the problem, it was so short. And so if I hook it up there, this little pump here is a little bit different. I'm gonna have to mount it a little bit differently, but I think I can make it work. I'm just gonna end up doing a slightly longer fuel line or little suction line here and kind of looping it around somehow. Maybe I can divert it, let's see. Point it in a different direction, but the nice thing is it's the same size with the same bolt pattern, and it works the same. It's just that the ports stick in a different direction. And I know you people at home might be like, well, you're mounted it opposite, but really this is fuel in, fuel out, and otherwise I would have to turn it around. And anyways, there's no like perfect solution, so I'm kind of making one up here. Okay, now we're going to add some new fuel line. Now we have fuel lines from the fuel tank to the pump. I'm still going to need to replace, looks like, the fuel line from the pump to the carburetor. So in order to do that, I gotta dive a little deeper. Take this cover off. So there is old fuel line that's going to the carburetor. It's just a matter of getting this one on there. More of a loop is better than, like, if you do something like this, it could work, but it could also kink. Could eventually over time kink like that. If it kinks like that, then we're not going to get any fuel to the engine. So sometimes it's better off to use a little bit more and make a much more gradual bend.
So the nice thing about, like I said before, the nice thing about this clear fuel line is we'll be able to watch fuel make it to the engine, which is a big deal when you're trying to diagnose problems like this. You know, if you have just all black fuel lines, you're like, I don't know if it's actually making it to the fuel to the engine or not. But you can't actually just use any clear hose. You know, a lot of hoses made out of vinyl, and that stuff can't hold up to petroleum-based products. This is a urethane hose, so it's actually made for fuel, and so it won't rot out over time from having fuel in it. So the hose clamp that came with this tractor, with this unit, was too big. So that's where you can actually make a really good hose clamp out of just some tie wire. Now we can start putting stuff back together. There we go. We can actually see fuel coming up. Look here. As I'm adding fuel to this thing, fuel's making its way up to the pump. That's just from gravity. That's a really good thing. I put the full 5 gallons in there because I wanted to mix that tiny little splash of bad gas that was at the bottom in with this. So they just kind of got mixed up. Okay, we got the battery hooked up. I have addressed the choke issue a little bit. I just unhooked the stuck cable, so now I can just manually work it here with my hand. We got the throttle freed up. Throttle cable here turns, and we got new fuel lines to the motor. So let's see what happens. Weak battery, maybe that's all. Really? We gotta go get a different battery. Okay, I got a big old battery in my pickup truck just down here, so I'm gonna go grab that and some jumper cables. Okay, I've been using my dump trailer, and I've had this battery in the back of my truck for helping run my dump trailer. You should definitely be able to have enough power to get this thing going. It's a big 8D boat battery. Okay, here we go again. Come on, Jesse. Holy smokes, it runs. Shut it off before it vibrates itself to pieces. I love it. Awesome. What does it mean? They're like, okay, so I gotta unbolt it from the trailer. It's on this thing here. So I gotta get it off of there. This block. Get everything out of the way. And then try driving this thing off the trailer, off this little wooden pallet, and it might be utter chaos. I've never actually driven one of these before, so that's a whole new experience. I don't know if it's gonna steer. Maybe it doesn't steer good. It's been sitting here for 10 years. What's the easiest way to get that out of there? I wish I had a crowbar here, and I don't. That would probably work. Might have to go to my shop and get a crowbar, get a pry bar. but it runs. And it was wanting to drive. I don't know if you can turn the vibrator on or off yet. But this is very exciting. A new toy. It's like Christmas. Okay. Got a couple crowbars. People are gonna be like, how did he not notice that was there? It was so obvious. Of course it would be. I really didn't notice. You know? Blinders on. Smells like dog pee over here. I'm pretty sure my dog probably, this is one of his spots. It's quite pungent. Good old-fashioned leverage. Ah! I win! I win! I think, yes! Okay. There's still a couple nails there, but I should hope that a compactor like this can go over a couple nails without causing a problem. One more try. I'm gonna have to cast off my jumper cables here at some point. We're neutral. Maybe a little choke. When I do that, it should make this thing pivot in the middle, and it's not doing that. So we have found one more problem with the compactor, but it's running actually pretty good, which is cool. Figured out that this button, the switch right here, this switch is the vibrator. I figured out this switch right here is the vibrator. You turn it on or you turn it off. So that's kind of cool. I figured that out. We learned a little more.
Oh, funny.
And it doesn't do anything. Oh, maybe it does. Look, it does. I just wasn't turning it enough.
Yeah.
Yeah. Another thing. I can check that off my bucket list. Driven roller compactor. Check. Well, I don't know. I think it's working. I think I should take it down and see if compacting down there actually helps make the gravel more firm. I just got to get it onto my trailer. That's going to be the next challenge. I got this whacker running, which is super exciting. We got this for free, you know, like 10 years ago, because the guy didn't want to deal with trying to figure out how to fix it. It ended up being such a small thing, just a tiny little hose that got it working. And then once I kind of got the choke figured out, got some fuel to the engine, it more or less fired right up. So it's pretty exciting. I get to now put this thing to work, which is totally cool. Take it, put it to work. Hopefully it's going to solve the problem of the gravel, the gravel being too soft so the dump trucks couldn't get up the hill. And anyways, I'm super stoked. If you like this video, make sure you click the subscribe button. I'm going to be making a whole bunch more content like this because I think you guys still want to see more of what the Kilchers have to offer. We're still here. We're still doing wacky homestead stuff. So like, subscribe, and follow along for more cool homestead adventure stuff. Perfect. All right.